Liverpool FC is hard as hell. United, Tottenham, Arsenal. Watch my lips and I will spell. Cause they don't just play, but they can rap as
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are watching from. Now, I am going to do a video about the German midfielder Florian Wirtz, who, of course, joined Liverpool in the summer of 2025 for £116 million. Now, at the moment of his putting pen to paper, he was the most expensive signing in British football history, although, of course, this record was smashed a few days later by the Liverpool purchase of Alexander Isak from Newcastle. Now, if we look at Florian Wirtz so far this season, it is very much a season of two halves. In the first 16 games, he registered 0 goals and 0 assists, believe it or not, in competitive games. And the last 16 have been far better. He has scored 6 goals and registered 8 assists. And I am going to give you 5 reasons as to why I think Florian Wirtz has improved so much over the last few weeks. Now, the first thing I'm going to look at is where Florian Wirtz has actually come from. Okay, so Florian Wirtz started his career in his late teens. He played in Germany for 4 or 5 seasons, and then he came to England 6 or 7 months ago. Now, what we can say about Florian Wirtz is that he has had to deal with what I will call, this is the first one on the list of 5, this is the adjustment period. Okay, now why do you need an adjustment period if you're just playing football in one place and then you are playing football in another place? Well, sometimes it doesn't matter so much, but in my opinion, when you go from a league like Germany to a league like the Premier League, the standard of football is a lot higher in the Premier League, so there has to be a period of adjustment. Now, when I'm online, when I'm on Twitter, my Twitter, by the way, is Gandalf_LFC. When I'm on Twitter, I do get into debates quite regularly with German fans who are always telling me about the greatness of their league. The Bundesliga is fantastic. It's on the same level as the Premier League. Apparently, it is superior to the Premier League. Apparently, this is what I've heard in some of my debates online. Now, if you look at this table will end the debate once and for all. So if you look at this table, this is a table of all the nations that have won the Champions League in the last 70 years, or at least the top 10 anyway. So if we look at Spain, La Liga has won 20 European Cups, or what is now known as the Champions League. And for those of you who exchange views with Real Madrid fans, we are reminded on a daily basis that out of these 20 European Cups, 15 of them belong to Real Madrid. So Spain have won the most European Cups. And then if you look at the second position, we have England. England have won a total of 15 European Cups in the last 70 years. And out of these 15, of course, Liverpool FC have won 6. Liverpool are probably the only English team that have the right to claim the title of being European royalty. Now, in third position, we have Italy, and in fourth position, we have Germany, and in fifth position, we have the Netherlands. Okay, so the Germans have only won 8 European Cups, and this is something which needs to be remembered. Okay, now why am I mentioning this? I'm mentioning this because this shows the weakness of the Bundesliga compared to the Premier League. So Florian Wirtz needed that time to adjust to a much higher standard of football. Now, the second reason I'm going to give you as to why Florian Wirtz has improved so much over the last few weeks, I can't show you any tactical footage. I don't want to get any copyright strikes, but because you are all massive football fans, I think you will know exactly what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to talk about now is what I call Salah the winger. Okay, so number 2 on my list is Salah the winger. So what I can tell you about Mohamed Salah is he joined Liverpool 8 seasons ago, and he was part of probably the most famous front 3 in the history of the club, which was Mohamed Salah on the right, it was Bobby Firmino in the middle, and it was Sadio Mane on the left. Now, the reason this was such a successful trio was obviously because of the pace and power of Salah, the pace and power of Mane, but it was also because Roberto Firmino played as a false 9. So what he would do is he would drag people out of position, and then the gaps that he was creating would then filled at speed by Mane, by Salah, causing absolute havoc in the opposition defense. Now, the reason Mohamed Salah, I think, has had a little bit of a difficult time this season is because for the first time in his Liverpool career, he's playing with traditional number 9s. So he's playing with Ugo Ekitike. He is playing, for example, with Alexander Isak when he was fit. And therefore, I think the manager Arne Slot has asked Mohamed Salah to play more as a wide man. Okay. Now, I think at the beginning he found it very difficult, but I think more recently he's managed to do it quite well. So what is happening tactically at Liverpool FC is this. I think Mohamed Salah has been told, you are now instructed to play like a traditional winger. I want you to stay wide. This will give the team shape. And not only will it give it shape, is you can serve Ekitike from the wide positions. You can cross it in. You can cut it back. You can do all the things that wingers do. You can dribble, but try to dribble past the fullback rather than the central defenders. So what has happened is Salah has stayed wide. Ekitike is playing as a number 9. And because Salah is not cutting in so much, I think the central spaces are now open for Florian Wirtz. Now, number 3 on my list is related to Florian Wirtz's diet. Okay. Now, when he came to England, I think he found the first few weeks very difficult. I think he found the first 3 or 4 months very difficult. And I think one of the reasons is, as I alluded to in point 1, that the jump between the Bundesliga and the Premier League is a massive leap. And I think it is to do with the quality of the players. It is to do with the speed of the players in the Premier League. But I think it's also to do with the physical power of the players in the Premier League. So according to reports, Florian Wirtz and the Liverpool dietitians have had a discussion about this, and Florian Wirtz has changed his diet. There's a lot more protein in his diet now, and he has put on 2.5 to 3 kilograms in lean body mass. So what this means is this extra 3 kilos of muscle allows him to withstand the challenges that come his way. And we have seen this many, many times in the past. So even though we think of dribbling as being a skill, there is strength involved, there is power involved, and we know this from looking at the great dribblers in football history. Okay, so if we look at people like Diego Maradona, if we look at people like Gaza, Paul Gascoigne, if we look at people like Zinedine Zidane, if we look at people like Ronaldinho, if we look at people like R9, even people like Luis Figo, that's about 6 people I've named there. They are all actually extremely strong, and if you look at their builds, they have a lot of upper body strength. So I think Florian Wirtz putting on this 2.5, 3 kilos of lean body muscle has enabled him to withstand the challenges of the Premier League, the physical tackles that come flying in every couple of minutes for a midfielder. And I think this strength has given him that firm footing that he needs in order to show his skill, of which there is no doubt whatsoever. Now, the 4th reason on my list that we have seen this improvement from Florian Wirtz over the last few weeks is simply because I think he has gained a better understanding with Hugo Ekitike, the French striker, who of course joined Liverpool as well in the summer for a fee of £90 million. Now, if we look at the history of Liverpool FC, they do have a history of big man, little man partnerships. Okay, so if we go back to the 1970s, we have a very famous partnership between John Toshak and Kevin Keegan. If we move forward to the 1980s, we have a very famous partnership between Ian Rush and Kenny Dalglish. Now, this might not be a big man, a little man partnership in the traditional sense, but it certainly was a very deadly partnership that is still celebrated by Liverpool fans today. And as far as I'm aware, Kenny Dalglish and Ian Rush are still best friends, even in their 60s. Okay, so following that, we had in the 1980s the partnership between John Aldridge and Peter Beardsley. So Beardsley was more of a goal maker like Dalglish, and then Aldridge was very similar to Ian Rush. He was pretty mobile and a very good finisher, and he even had the same mustache as Ian Rush, just in case we missed Rush while he was in Italy playing for Juventus. So in the 1990s, we had another big man, little man partnership. We had Emile Heskey and Michael Owen. So Heskey was more the physical number 9 who would batter defenders, and Owen was quick, and he was, of course, a deadly finisher for Liverpool FC. I think the less we talk about Andy Carroll and Luis Suarez, the better. But coming back to the present day, we have Florian Wirtz, the little man. We have Hugo Ekitike, who is, of course, 6'3" and very mobile and very strong. The reason I mention this is because you have to look at it from a defender's point of view. So if you step out onto the pitch and you have Ekitike in front of you, you have Florian Wirtz in front of you, you have Mohamed Salah in front of you. This means you are going to be tested in terms of your pace by Ekitike and Salah. Your strength is going to be tested by Ekitike, and your footballing intelligence is going to be tested by Florian Wirtz. So these three players, as long as they are in the lineup, I think they will cause defenders a lot of problems. And thank you so much for your patience getting through to number 5 now. So the number 5 reason as to why I think Florian Wirtz has improved so much over the last few weeks is simply because he's mentally, just judging him from the outside, obviously I don't know him personally, but just judging him from the outside, he looks incredibly mentally strong. He looks emotionally very stable. And the reason this is important is because I think as a footballer, it is very, very important to your future. If you're going to be a success, if you're going to try and achieve things, if you're going to try and win major trophies, make massive transfers, you have to have a certain amount of emotional stability so that if things are going well, you don't get too carried away, and if things are going badly, you don't get too depressed over it. So if you look at Florian Wirtz, he never looks overly happy, he never looks overly upset, he just looks pretty much the same no matter what is going on. And if you look at, for example, Loris Karius, Loris Karius was another young German talent. In his early 20s, he was considered to be the best young goalkeeper in Germany, and he was considered that he would certainly be the successor to Manuel Neuer in the Germany team, and would probably retire with 100 caps for his country. Now, what happened with Loris Karius is he became extremely famous, he became extremely rich. I personally, from what I've seen, he got completely carried away. He started doing modeling very, very early. He started flying around the world, living a jet-setting lifestyle. And of course, his career in terms of elite football was over by the age of 23 or 24 when he made those infamous blunders in the Champions League final of 2018. Now, the reason I mentioned Karius is because Florian Wirtz's journey was also very similar. Young talent, German, of course, built up by the German press. Then the European press got hold of him. Then his name has become a worldwide name. And I think in these situations, it is very, very easy to get totally carried away. And if you look at Florian Wirtz, he looks quite calm. He looks quite settled. And I think this mental strength is also one of the reasons that he has been able to turn this season around. Now, just to draw this video to a conclusion, I would ask you to like the video. Even if you didn't like it, just like it anyway. Even if you thought it was absolute crap, please like it anyway if you don't mind. And I would like you to subscribe. That is probably the most important thing. If you don't mind, put the notifications on. It would be absolutely fantastic to gain more subscribers, because I do love football. I've always loved football. It is a tremendous passion of mine. As a famous person once said, football is the most important thing out of the things which are not so important. Okay, so if you could like, subscribe, and share with your friends and your family, even those family members that you don't particularly like. You never know, my video could be an icebreaker. It could bring two families together that haven't been talking to each other since the 1940s, something that is very, very common in the Pakistani community. Okay, so if you could please like, subscribe, and share. And then in the comments, I would like you to tell me what you think the reason is for Florian Wirtz's improvement. Let me know what you think about his future, and do you think it is realistic that he might win a Ballon d'Or? Because some people have been saying this guy has no ceiling, he can become the world's greatest player. But what I'm asking you is, given the fact that we have Erling Haaland on the scene, we have Kylian Mbappe on the scene, we have Lamine Yamal on the scene, we have Ugo Ekitike on the scene, will Florian Wirtz ever win a Ballon d'Or? I would love to know your opinions. Thank you for your time, and I will see you very soon, I hope.
Napoleon had that idea, he would conquer the bloody world.
Sound is a pound. I'm Kustilab.